Okay, well, today we have Carol Roth with us, and she is the author of, I have my special effects here, The Entrepreneur Equation. It's a great book that answers the question, not can I be an entrepreneur, but should I be an entrepreneur, and should I be one right now? I love that, and it's a great book, well worth it, and I think you said in one of your videos, the cheapest business insurance you'll ever buy.
Yes, cheapest business insurance policy, $25 or on Amazon. It's about $15.44 right now, and you cannot get business insurance for that price anywhere.
Right.
If you do, let me know. I'll refund the difference.
Yeah, really. I don't think you're going to have too many people taking you up on that.
Yes.
So we actually connected through Margie Clayman, and we were talking a little bit about getting men to post on, I know at least for me, on my finance blog, but you seem to get, quite a bit of interaction from both genders. What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, well, first, a big shout out to Margie Clayman. If you don't know Margie, you should know Margie.
That's
She's
brilliant,
and definitely check her out. But I'm seeing this really interesting gender gap, Nicole, and it's really fascinating to me because I grew up in a situation where I was always surrounded by a lot of guys and some women. I went to Wharton, which is a very male-dominated business program, and like you, started out as an investment banker, and finance, as we know, is dominated by men, and I didn't really realize that I was one of the only women until I kind of got into this online world and noticed this sort of new glass ceiling, if you call that there's this old boys network in this new digital age, and it never really occurred to me before because I never think of myself as a woman in business or a woman entrepreneur. And so I never treat anything that I do like that. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a finance person, yes, I am female. I know that's hard to do for some people. I actually am born that way. Was my father's only son, but how it goes. But I think that part of the issue and part of the reason why I've been very successful in attracting a male following is that I don't sort of see this differential. I don't kind of create, here's this thing about women, and even though there have been times I've spoken at all women's conferences, or, that I, wear a pink tie or pink heels on the cover of my book, I never try to make it about being a woman. I just try and stick to the facts. And I think that that's something that I'm seeing from a lot of the women out there is there's this propensity towards being cute. And cute has its place. But if you're trying to attract a broad audience, having the silhouette with the suitcase or the briefcase and the pink dotted background and whatnot isn't going to be inviting, isn't going to resonate. And if you write in a manner that, has sort of more of a coquettish edge, if you will, that's not going to attract the guys, and the guys, it's not going to resonate with them. And if it doesn't resonate with them, they're not going to take the time to comment on it. And at the same time, you don't want to be something that you're not. So you have to get really comfortable and figure out who it is in the audience you want to speak to. But for me, it's really about tough love, being straightforward on business, and I don't see women and men as different. And I actually worry, and I brought this up, I think, to Margie and to a number of people before, I worry a little bit about women because women are so naturally community-oriented, but what happens is they tend to go with their friends. They tend to make everything sort of a social get-together. So their same friends that they go shopping with and get mani-pedis with are their business friends, and they do everything with them. Where if you look at guys, and Liz Strauss is actually the one who sort of pointed this out to me, if you look at guys, they've got their business buddies and their golf buddies and their beer buddies and all these different buddies, and they're not necessarily the same people all the time. And think that if you're in a woman and you're going to women's only conferences and you have your women's only networking group and you're in the women's only, speaking group, you're kind of creating this league of your own and you're not integrating with these other people. And then when you put yourself out there, who are you going to attract? Well, you're speaking to the women. So I think that that's a huge, huge problem. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with some of it, but not all of it. I do agree that you can be very self-limiting, and I grew up as a tomboy myself. In fact, we mentioned I'm actually up visiting my family right now, and I grew up hunting and fishing, and I was the only girl in my gun safety course at 12. So, yes, I got my first partridge at 12. And so and I didn't think anything of it. I mean, everyone in my family hunts. My mom won the big buck pool one year, which, and for those of you that don't hunt, it means the buck with the most points. And she won at deer camp one year. So to me, I never really approached that way, but it seems like it keeps getting forced on me. And what I mean by that is, you know, the fact that there aren't a lot of men that comment on my blog. I mean, yes, I do have a silhouette of a woman, but I also have a guy in my logo. I mean, I have both. The idea being to attract both. And I talk about things like villains and superheroes, and I don't think I pick gender-specific topics because, like, I love football. You know, I wrote a post. I'm a huge Packers fan. Yes, go Green Bay.
Sorry. We have to roll that one back. I'm taking that away, Nicole. Sorry.
Well,
yay for football, boo for Packers. But anyway.
Wait, who do you cheer for then?
Well, I live in Chicago,
you're a Bears fan.
For the Bears, even though I was a Raiders fan, but I broke up with them several years ago.
Well, I've been a Packers fan my whole life, and I wrote a blog post the day after they won the Super Bowl about it, you know, and what you could learn from that. Now, is there some fun stuff? My shtick, if you will, like yours is, I love the whole spinach in your teeth, you know, idea, because it's true. The people who really care about you tell you, and the rest wait till you go to the bathroom and see that there's spinach in your teeth, which is embarrassing. You know, with mine, it's more humor. I use humor. I talk about, I have a villain, you know, the number muncher is the villain, and I have a cat, he's the feline that, you know, that saves people. And for me, it just comes naturally.
Yes.
But I don't view it as, I mean, maybe it is, you know, keeping guys away, but I guess I didn't, and it was never intentional. I don't belong to a bunch of women-only marketing groups or networking groups. So I guess I don't feel like I do a lot of what you're saying, but yet I still get that same result.
Well, just based on what you're telling me, so you've got a cat. How many guys do you know that own cats?
I know some guys that own cats.
Some, but, you know, just how many guys do you know that, if you think of what resonates with guys, is cat the top of the list?
Probably not, no, probably a dog.
So again, it may not be anything that's intentional, or it may not be something that's super feminine, but it may not just be what is resonating with them. And if there isn't enough of a consistency that's resonating with the way that they talk and think, which is much more simplistic, by the way, than women think. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but it's, you know, women, like, it's like, oh, Carol, like, you've got this cockeyed eyebrow, and you got this, and you got, you know, and the guy's just like, hot, not hot. Like, that's all they process. Without any details, like, it's cut and dry. So if you don't build up that consistency with them, you know, they're not the type that's going to be the comment the first day. They're probably going to lurk, visit you for a while, and then comment. So if you're going back and forth, they just may not kind of get in that groove with you to feel like it's a place where, yeah, okay, this is a place that's safe and has that man cave-ish, you know, appeal. And so that it may not be the reason, but I think that for a lot of folks, a lot of women particularly, but even men, you know, depending on the way that they write, that may be why they're not attracting as much of a male audience. And it's okay. You don't have to attract a male audience, and I think that there's, you know, a place to have and serve whatever market you want. But if you have a broad-based topic, I mean, you with finance, I mean, what an important topic for everybody.
Yes.
You know, that just may be something. Try mixing it up a little bit. You know, try for like 2 weeks to write in this very, you know, straightforward, simplistic, you know, tone, and see if that changes the responses that you get. It's also dependent on your community. I mean, if you started out in a way that's attracted a lot of women, and then you get the women who are retweeting it, you may not even be getting in front of the guys for them to see it, to then relate to it. So sometimes it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's, I don't know, as I said, just pure speculation.
No, those are good ideas. I'll give it a try. I mean, it can't hurt. Since I don't view myself as super feminine, and I don't have a bunch of pink in my house, and you know what I mean. I'm like I said, I'm the one who grew up hunting and fishing, and I love all that. You know, I catch frogs with my daughter.
And look, and for somebody who has, you know, a lot of testosterone in my system, I also have a girly side. I have, you know, my own freaking.
You have your own doll.
There's she's hiding somewhere.
Where is she? Yeah.
But you know, of course, the guys that I know have all now made her into an action figure, and it's like, okay, so you know, once they adapt to you, they'll find a way to work on the parts that don't relate. But you have to kind of build up that consistency with them.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I think that, you know, for folks, you know, like Margie, who, you know, talk about a lot of women issues, and very important issues, and, you know, maybe others who really do have a little bit more of this, you know, feminine edge that they may not even intentionally be putting out there, you know, that's not going to resonate when you've got, you know, all these things coming through your Twitter stream, and you really, you know, have, you know, a quick time that you can look and say, okay, this resonates, and I'm going to check this out. And it doesn't mean that they're not reading it either. It just may not be moving them enough to, you know, feel like they're part of the community and want to comment.
Right. Interesting. You don't think, like, I was wondering if maybe it's just the whole idea of being a little less serious. I mean, that was a tone that I didn't take initially, and I slowly took on a tone of humor. Like, I know when you commented on my bright, shiny object post, right? The flag spreading, and I used humor.
Guys like humor, I think, more than women like humor. And in fact, their threshold for what's funny and often is much lower.
That's true.
Look at Jackass. It's just, you know, dumb on there. You know? So the thresholds are pretty low there. So I don't think it's a question of the humor. It's the question is the humor resonating with them, and the type of stuff that they think is funny, or is there enough consistency between that? If you go from the humor post to My Fuzzy Cat to, you know, whatever it is, it just, again, just may not be resonating, or again, it may not be getting in front of them because the people you've initially attracted aren't putting it in front of them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm going to have to try some things out and keep you posted.
testing, because you just never know. I mean, one of the things I think is really interesting about blogging and about having these target markets is we think we know what works and what doesn't, and then it's such a surprise when you put it out into the market. And I tell you, every single time that I write a post that I think is just crap, and I just leave it in my draft folder in WordPress for when I run out of content, and then finally I'm like, okay, I'll throw it out there. Those are the ones that are always the most successful. So, you know, I've decided I'm just not self-censoring anymore. You know, the market will tell me what it wants, and then you can start seeing by what gets retweeted and what people like and respond to, the kinds of, you know, themes or the way that you write that resonate with people.
Yep.
Okay. So Nicole and I are having all sorts of technical problems, which really means that I'm having technical problems because technology hates me. I swear I did something in my last lifetime where I was just like against technology, and now I'm paying for it over and over again because I can't, you know, I just can't. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, I guess one other question I had for you, and it's more on a personal level, is that do you ever get frustrated with the fact that you know, men, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think men go through this whole, how do I reach men and women?
No, they actually don't even realize it's an issue. When I actually wrote a very popular post called At the Business Table Where Are the Ladies, talking about this, you know, as I said, new boys club in this new digital age, old boys club in this new digital age. And the interesting thing is not that women aren't being recognized, they're just not being recognized at the same level. And, you know, when you see, you know, the TED conferences or the lists, you always have all these male names on it, and then the way that they compensate is then they create the women's list. And it's like, no, we just want to all be
why can't we be on one list?
And when I put that out there, it was very interesting because a lot of my very close male colleagues who did comment on the post didn't realize it was an issue, and they were just kind of like, oh, I never even noticed, because you know what? It doesn't impact them. And the bad thing about women, I love you, but the bad thing about women is that women sometimes, will rush to support the guys, but then get very kind of catty and competitive with each other. And that's why, you end up in these reality competitions where if a guy's going up against the girl, that guy's going to win every time because they've got the guys' vote. Guys are protecting their buddies, and then the women are kind of like, oh, well, I don't like what she's wearing, so I'm not voting. And so the guys really don't think about this at all because it doesn't impact them. So I think it's really critical in terms of our ability to, kind of stop this, is just to, make them aware of it. But more importantly, as women, to just stop it. Because it's kind of, I liken it, and somebody's going to totally hate me for this one, but you know me, I'm just going with it.
Go with it.
Taking it to, racial profiling. When they're saying, oh, well, you're only stopping certain people at the airport security because of the way they look. It's like, well, if every terrorist looks exactly the same, yeah, of course, that's going to be the first layer we're going to go for. And don't blame us. If you're one of those people, then you yell at them. And I kind of feel the same way with women. The women who are out there creating a bad name for other women, it's kind of like, the women need to step up and go, what, that's uncool. You need to stop doing that.
Right.
And so that's a little sort of pet project of mine, is to say to the ladies, look, if you're being, kind of a jerk, stop, because you're killing all of us. And it doesn't do any of us any good when you do these ridiculous things. And the only way that we're all going to get to that level is if we just kind of, stop doing it to ourselves. And then it won't be an option anymore. And then, of course, integrating with the guys, because there are a lot of great guys out there who are really good at being inclusive for women. I mean, look at Seth Godin, look at Chris Brogan, look at Michael Ford. I mean, there are a lot of guys out there who are really very inclusive. But, it's still not enough to kind of kick up everybody who deserves it on the female side to be at the same level, to be considered a peer. And if you think about who are the gurus, the names that come up, most of them, if not all of the names that end up falling out of people's mouths are male. It was interesting when my book hit the New York Times bestseller list. One of the lists that it hit was the business list for the entire month of March. And I actually, thank you. And I actually had my staff do a spreadsheet, and we looked, top 10 business titles for the 2 years prior. And of that, there were, I think, 3 or 4 women who on their own had made that list in, 2+ years. And 2 or 3 others that were co-authored with men, and every other name was male. And so it just really does make you wonder, why are we not getting the same support across the board? So we just have to keep pushing, keep doing the same thing, and keep being inclusive. Because I think if we create these special silos, if we create the women's list, it's like, winning the Special Olympics. Like, it's fantastic, but it's not the same. Like, I want to be in the regular Olympics. Thank you. So, we just have to just keep fighting the good fight, I guess, Nicole.
Well, I'm all for it, and I'm going to try some of your things. Maybe Fluffy's going to get a buddy. Maybe he's going to get a dog buddy. Guys like dogs, right?
Yeah, his name has to be something like Killer.
Spike.
Yes, I mean,
Spike.
When you have an entire TV channel devoted to men called Spike, I think that's a good choice.
The thing is, I watch Spike TV.
As do I, and as do, some other women too. But again, we're not their target market. We're just the gravy.
Right. All right. Well, I'll be sure to let you know when the dog hits the web.
Excellent. He's gonna have that spiked collar too,
He's gonna have to. Yep. He's gonna be very masculine and
drink beer, right? Not to stereotype, guys. I know there's plenty of you out there that are really, really sensitive. So, but anyway, it's an interesting conversation. It will be a debate that continues, and I'm sure as long as Hooters is allowed to exist in our society, it will always be a fight for the women. But eventually we'll slap those Hooters girls around and go, look, you're not doing any of us any favors, and maybe it will change for some generation to come. I don't know.
I really hope so. But yeah. Well, okay, so we know I'm going to show it one more time. And I'm not just doing it because Carol's here with us. I love this book. I've been recommending it a lot because I don't do what you do in this book, and it's a great resource. What else is coming down the pike for you, Carol? Just give us a quick, how can people find you? They probably already know, but, what the heck? How can they find you and what's coming?
Just type my name into Google. The best thing to do is carolroth.com, and there's a fun blog there, very interactive, which actually is in the process of being overhauled and updated. So it's going to have threaded comments and a lot of really good things to make it even more interactive. But, start out there, sign up for the newsletter, subscribe to the RSS feed. Twitter at Carol J.S. Roth, the most botched Twitter handle of all time, of course, like to make it difficult for you. And as far as what's coming down the pike besides the Botox on the blog and the website, some good TV stuff, doing more and more TV on Fox and MSNBC and whatnot. And recently filmed a pilot for my own television show. So hopefully the next step here that we're getting closer on is having a bigger presence where I'm not necessarily the guest star, the sidekick, but I have more of a voice. So we'll keep plugging away on that one.
Great. Well, let us know. Will they? When they do a pilot, do they air it and see how it does, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the way that this particular situation worked is that I was signed to a production company, and they actually produce a piece and then go and shop it around to the networks, and then the networks decide if they're going to pick it up or not. And then we
recording.
Okay, yes. So basically, then the network picks it up, decides whether they want to pick it up, and we hopefully have lots of networks competing, and then go back and they may reformulate it a little bit, or they may add roller skates and sock puppets, or they may go with what was originally done. Who knows? So, so that's one thing. And then I've got some other things that are in process that I can't talk about either. But, hopefully soon one of these things will hit, and I will keep everyone posted and promise to bring lots of shenanigans to the table.
Well, definitely keep us posted. Thanks again for doing this. I had a great time. I could talk to you all day about this, but I know we don't have all day.
No, and apparently my computer doesn't have the patience either, so thank you for being patient with my technological issues.
Well,
so
no
hopefully
problem.
we'll get that sorted out for next time, but I appreciate the opportunity to chat and look forward to more of them.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you.